What did that one teacher do to you that you'll never forget? The professor I had for my Calculus 100 class in university was awesome. He was a good teacher and funny and engaging. If it was a first-year class with over 100 people in it, I was just a face in a big crowd. I was on campus after hours a couple years after I graduated. They run programs for kids in the evenings and was dropping off my oldest, and I saw him. He stopped, looked at me hard, and said, "Less than first name greater than less than last name greater than." Not a bad student. Not great. But definitely not bad. And kept walking. This was a good 6 years after I graduated. Absolutely amazed he would have remembered me at all after teaching how many hundreds of students in between. That is just crazy. Senior year of high school. I was on the wrestling team and I had cut about 30 pounds that year, from 170 down to 140. I happened to have the same math teacher 3 years in a row, so we really got to know each other. First name basis and all that. She knew how much weight I cut for the season. I told her and it was obvious just from my face. I wasn't fat before my cut either. I had a six-pack. She had a strict no eating in class policy. That'll be important in a minute. The day after the wrestling season ends, I walk into math class and sit down. She walks over to my desk and puts a whole apple pie right in front of me. She knew it was my favorite, handed me a fork, and said she'll ignore the no eating rule for one day. I finished that whole pie in maybe 30 minutes. Linda, I'll never forget that. You absolutely made my day. I was anorexic when I was in school. She took me aside after class and told me that if I didn't stop doing what I was doing to myself, I was going to die. That my body was going to start shutting down. My organs would fail, that it would not be beautiful, and I was going to die an awful and painful death. I still catch myself slipping back into that mindset 10 years later sometimes. But I will never forget that. She saved my life. Had 10 minutes to spare before lunch bell and he told us all to go jerk off or whatever it is you do. I don't know what he wanted to say and he apologized to us, but it was funny as hell. Edit. Thanks for the awards, kind strangers. I faked my way through 4th and 5th grade math. I never understood how to do long division, but managed to hide that from the teachers and answer test questions by reverse multiplication. Basically guess a number and multiply it out and see how close I would get, and keep doing it until I got the answer. My 6th grade math teacher figured out that I was faking, and had no idea how to actually divide anything. She had me come in one afternoon to help with cleaning the erasers. All the kids fought for this privilege, so I was thrilled, sat me down and tutored me until I grasped the concept. Bless you, Mrs. Gillespie. Not me, my brother. He had one of those haircuts that was popular in the mid-90s where you have long fringe, maybe 5 inches, but skinhead the rest. He was a skateboarder. Anyway, the wood shop teacher decided that the haircut was an health and safety hazard and swiftly cut his hair in front of the whole class, meanwhile berating him, "Kids today," etc., etc. My brother was 12 and came home from school crying. My father was less than pleased, and apparently went up to school and made a right kerfuffle, as he should. My mother was very embarrassed by it all. I'll never forget. In my senior year, my English teacher asked me if I was manic depressive after turning in a personal essay, only for me to get diagnosed with bipolar disorder a week later. I can't remember what I did, but in 1st grade my teacher got mad at me and said, "You wanna act like a baby? Fine, come over here." She made me sit in a corner on the floor and gave me 2 little toys to play with. Called my mom while she was at work to tell her I'd written one of the best things he'd ever seen as a teacher. 3rd grade Mrs. Jones. My dad had just deserted us and we were suddenly destitute. She bought my school pictures for us and paid my lunch bill all year. She never said a word about it. Only found out later. Bless her. Senior year I was placed in a freshman typing class. Everyone else was chatty and goofed off, but I wanted to learn to type, so I really put in a lot of effort. I only had 2 classes in the morning, and the rest of the day I was a waitress, as I was pretty much on my own in my senior year. I got called into work on the day of our class final, so I went to work and missed the final. When I showed up to class the next day, I apologized to the teacher for missing the final. He asked me, "Do you want to know the grade you got?" When I replied yes, he said, "I gave you an A because if you had been here, that's what you would have gotten." I never forgot that. Thank you, Mr. Wyatt. Edit. Thank you for asking a question that gave me the opportunity to share a great experience. I was really shocked when I checked Reddit after work. I did not expect much, I was just sharing a fond memory, but it's really fun when something blows up. You made his old lady's day, thank you. Edit 2, I'm beyond thrilled at the awards, y'all rock. Had a high school art teacher who would let me stay in his classroom during lunches. Always gave me half his sandwich and other extra food because he knew I didn't eat much otherwise. Edit. He would also keep a drawer in the classroom stocked with snacks so that I could swing by and grab something between classes if I needed. No, he never did anything questionable, and no, I never fell asleep after eating the sandwiches. He was just a kind person, smiley face. In high school, one of my teachers had this duck bill whistle, literally shaped like a duck's bill, and it made a quacking noise. She used it to get the class attention. One time I guess we were being extra rowdy and she blew the ever-loving shit out of it and the class went stone dead quiet. She got this shocked look on her face, and then took her hairpin out and dropped it, and the whole class heard it hit the ground, and she got this big grin on her face and we all just busted out laughing. When I was in 3rd grade, the teacher of my gifted program class, extra class, we were pulled from mainstream to do a few hours a week, started berating me over raising my hand too quickly to answer questions, saying I needed to think longer and give others the chance to answer. She went on and on about how I had an attitude. I got upset and she made me stand in front of the class when I started to cry. I know you're crying and I don't care. It was my birthday. It was a class of about 8 students. One guy told me in high school that that day was one of his clearest memories from elementary school. She took every phone call no matter the time of night while I was in rehab. If it wasn't for her being there in my lowest time, I probably would not be here today. Oh boy. Grade 3, I said, "Ah, crap." When I got tagged out, rounding second, during a game of soccer baseball, Canadian term for kickball. A little girl covering the base screamed, "Teacher." Negotiation fair said the C word. So I got put on detention and yelled at for the rest of the day until I finally snapped on my teacher at the end of the day and said, "Listen teacher, I don't get it." All I said was, "Ah, crap," when she caught the ball, and I didn't even know that that was a swear word. The teacher replied, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I thought you said the other C word." I said, "What is the other C word?" She said, "Ask your mother." At the end of the day I got into the van and told my mom what happened. She broke out laughing her ass off and explained to me, when I asked, that the word the teacher thought I had said was cunt. I went to school the next day and said to all my friends, "Hey guys, guess what word I just learned?" This teacher was extremely strict, hated by my class, but loved me because I was one of the few who respected her and did well in her class. When school ended, she gave me a crystal bear. Nothing too fancy or expensive, but I felt as if I was glowing leaving that classroom with bear in my hand. I still have it and will treasure it forever. Had the police come to the school because he had reason to believe I was smoking cigarettes and using drugs in 7th grade? No. Both of my parents smoked in the house. I didn't even know I smelled like cigarettes until the police told me why they were searching my backpack, desk and locker. Told me I was smart and could succeed. I had spent the past couple years at a private school, trying so hard to prove myself. Despite doing well academically, I didn't fit their cookie-cutter mold, so I was looked down on by other students and administration. When I told the guidance counselor that I wanted to be pre-med and go to medical school after college, she pretty much told to lower my expectations because I wouldn't succeed. At the end of my college math class my senior year of high school, I ended up in my professor's office to look at what I had missed on my final. He told me that I had done well, and that I could my PhD in math if I wanted. That was not what I wanted to do, but when I told him I wanted to be pre-med, he looked at me and said, "You're going to well in that. I know you will succeed." 6 years later and I'm halfway through my 2nd year of medical school, and his words still ring in my mind. My physics teacher in high school hosted an annual trip to Walt Disney World in Orlando for 15 to 20 kids for over a week. I was one of the better and most interested students in his class. He was an incredible teacher who found examples in physics everywhere. He also used to work for Disney prior to teaching. Since my family was not so well off and I could not afford the trip to Walt Disney World, I declined when he asked me if I was going to join. He probed a bit and he somehow found the funds to have me join without me even inquiring. I don't know if he pulled school money or there was a surplus, but either way, that was one of my best memories from that school. I still keep in touch with him 15 years later. I called somebody stupid once when they got a question wrong and the teacher instantly made me stand up and spell stupid backwards. Got it wrong with the pressure and learned a lesson that day. When I was in 7th grade, there was a teacher at my school that was essentially a love child of Santa and an elf. Dude was 5 feet 2 inches, over 300 pounds, and had a beard that would put Gimli to shame. My first ever conversation with this man ended with him saying, "Now you go get yourself something to eat, big man." Shit caught me so off guard, I didn't realize what he had said until after I walked away. Wait, before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe, you sexy human.